Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Evolve with Emily show. I'm your host, Emily Hayden, and for today, we have on guest Samantha Paparro. She's an Airbnb coach. She has earned over $4 million in Airbnb by 29 years old, and she teaches others how to start their own six-figure Airbnb business in 30 days or less through her B&B Boss Academy. So this is a special episode because if you guys have followed me since my fitness days, then you probably know Samantha. But we both were in our fitness era back in the 2013-14 realm. Often, I feel like we were some of the most shredded bikini athletes that there were. She's, if you guys remember, she has killer abs. She's always been in the fitness era. She was always one of the other girls that just had this like shredded six pack, which I thought was fun. And we dove fully into that era of our lives. And since then, we both have grown and evolved so much. Neither of us are current competitors. We both live an active lifestyle. And one thing that I really loved about watching Samantha's journey is that she actually went from the fitness world and started an entire new venture. So going from fitness coaching to now she is an Airbnb coach and a very successful Airbnb host. And being able to just witness some of her success and her journey has been so inspiring. So today we're going to get into all things life, personal development, mindset, business, Airbnb specifically, and so much more. So everybody, please welcome Samantha on the show. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Emily. I'm so grateful and excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so could you help us understand what was that initial transition like when you were fully immersed into the fitness space, you were fitness coaching? I think you may have even run challenges. You can correct me if I'm wrong there. How did you get into the business of Airbnb? Because it's like a totally new realm. And I feel like it can sometimes be overwhelming for people to go after an entirely new thing. So what was that transition like? What got you started and why Airbnb?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. And I remember like very vividly the transition, but it was at the end of 2021. And, I have been doing this. I know you've been doing it like so many years before that, like from 2014 to 2021. It's a lot of years to be in a specific niche, doing the same thing every single day, and taking that leap to do something completely different is very scary. And I just felt like in 2021 that I love health. I love fitness. I love everything about it. I love the community. I just wasn't like eat, sleep, breathing it every day. So I felt very misaligned with what I was teaching because I wasn't actually doing it in my own life. Like what I do currently, what I'm teaching, I do it every single day. And I feel like that makes me feel like really excited because I'm constantly learning, growing, evolving in the space while helping our students do the exact same thing. So I feel like a lot more aligned in that respect. I actually started Airbnb in 2017. Now I was doing this, like not taking it really seriously. I kind of fell into it in Venice, California. The guy across the street was doing Airbnb, and I'm like, I always see people like going in and out of your apartment. Like, what are you doing? And he told me what he was doing. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not super happy with where I'm at. Like, let me just try it. And I tried it, and I wind up being able to pay the rent there, make a little bit extra income, and it was paying the rent in my second place. So I started living for free. So I really got the feel of like doing it, and I was doing it and never told anybody I was doing it. Like I was still doing fitness full time, but it was like my side gig. And I actually had a coach that I hired for like mentorship in fitness and business. And he said, why don't you just do like Airbnb? Like you do this and you're making a good income. Like I started scaling it. And he was like, why don't you do it? And I was like, no, like fitness is my thing. Like I have such a big community and like so well known for it. Like it would just be really hard for me to do that. And then I wind up, getting in a new relationship at the end of 2021. And they were actually doing Airbnb too, my now fiance, Brett. So we kind of merged our businesses together. And then I decided, you know what, like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take that leap. And it was a really, like I said, but very scary transition. I kind of went offline for about like 6 months because I was afraid to like put myself out there and say, hey, you know what, like the girl that you've been following for fitness content all these years, now doing something completely different. So I just kind of felt like very nervous to show up online. So it did take me a few months to get back on there and start posting and sharing what I was actually doing.
Yeah, I remember you coming back after being like, oh yeah, she's been gone. Where has she been? And then seeing your new content of you sharing about Airbnb, and you were so knowledgeable and the content is so good that I was excited to watch your videos and see what you were up to now. So I think it's always so interesting to feel into how we think other people are going to perceive us and how we perceive ourselves and just that whole thing, because I think it's an amazing idea to take some time and space for yourself to feel good and confident and secure in what you're doing. And then from that place to come and be able to share that, because, it is hard being on social media. And when you do get negative feedback or people that are not excited for change, growth, and evolution, as someone like me who loves the thought of evolution, obviously, when you get that negative feedback, it can be really difficult to really just navigate that when you're doing something that's new. So I love that I hear that you took time and space for yourself to feel good and secure in what you were doing. And then from that space came and shared. What was your initial response like from people whenever you started sharing this kind of content?
People, I think were a little bit shocked at the beginning. People would wrote me messages oh, I originally followed you for fitness. I think people were definitely very not, I don't know everybody, but we're very shocked. I kind of just archived everything on my page. Obviously my engagement was changed too, right? Because I had such a big fitness following. So it's not obviously the same of what it was before, but I'm kind of just building up back to whoever is following me or continues to follow is really what I'm passionate about now. So even if it's 10 people, I'm totally okay with that. But, and now I'm establishing an audience that, is actually interested in what I'm speaking about. So it definitely was I felt a big change, and, people had reached out oh, I had no idea you were doing this. And are you ever going to post I miss your fitness content? And I kind of just ignored those messages and just continue to post and be confident in what I'm doing today.
I love that. And I feel right now that there's people that are listening that are feeling like you're speaking directly to them because they've been stuck in a box that maybe they put themselves in or other people put them in, or maybe it was just the last season of their life that they're struggling to let go of. What you did is a really big deal to be able to fully let go, not just of a season of your life, but even of your Instagram following that you worked so hard to build in that one, in that one space. I think it's a big deal to say, you know what, I'm going to be brave and I'm going to post something completely new outside of that space. And it just shows your commitment to being in alignment, being authentic, being genuine about what you're embodying. And that's really what I hear from you, is that you really seek out to embody exactly who you say you are. And this definitely sounds like such an aligned choice. So I hope that the listeners can really take that to heart and to know that the right thing to do is always the aligned thing to do for you.
Yes, oh, I completely agree.
Yeah. So, okay, let's get into your very first Airbnb. How long did it take you for you to start actually making a profit with Airbnb?
It's so crazy because I actually made a profit within the first month of starting. And that's really what Airbnb, I do the arbitrage method, right? And now that I'm 9 years into it, we own property. But initially just starting an Airbnb, I did the arbitrage where I rented a property and I subleased it out on Airbnb. And I made the rent plus more within the first month. And it was absolutely wild. I had no idea that was something even possible. Like I said, I had no plan going into it. I'm going to do this. This is my thing. It just happened. And it was so crazy. I can't even explain to you. I wasn't expecting it. But yeah, within the first month, I made a profit. Every single month after, made a profit. And that's what got me to get a few more in California. And I was basically just operating off 3 to 4 to 5 maximum. But I still, like I said, when initially, I didn't have a goal to grow that business. I was just as long as I have 3 to 4, I'm always living for free and I don't have to worry and I'll pay for all like my living expenses. And that's really what I went into it in the beginning.
That is so cool. What a concept. For people listening, they may have the idea that they have to have a lot of income to start an Airbnb business. What's the reality if someone wanted to start with Airbnb? At what level can they enter? Like, what does that investment actually look like?
Yeah, great question. So it really could vary as far as the initial investment, the type of property that you do go for, right? Versus a 1 bedroom versus a 3 bedroom house, California versus Texas, just different, or Arizona, different states, right? So it's definitely going to vary a lot. But I would say like on average, like a good average number is about like $3,000 a month for the rent, a $3,000 security, right? So you have $6,000 there. And then furniture is going to be anywhere from like $5,000 to $8,000. So I always like trying to do that, like that's like on average, no matter really where you go, you can find that somewhere is as far as like an initial investment. And honestly, like we've learned ways where you can do this all with even without your own money, but it's very easy to get access to that amount of money in today's world. So to even get started, even if you don't have that amount of money in your bank account right now.
Wow. And if someone is thinking about getting started, but they have the idea that it's so overly saturated and they're worried about getting an Airbnb and it not getting rented out, what do you have to say about that?
I would say that you definitely want to do the market research on the area because honestly, like even if it looks like a good deal, it may not be a good deal. And it's okay to be saturated because people are booking Airbnbs every single day. Majority of our properties are in Los Angeles, and Los Angeles has so many Airbnbs. I mean, people fly into Los Angeles every single day. So we are probably in one of the most saturated markets out there, but we're booked over 90% occupancy every single month. So, but you just want to make sure that you choose the right location, and by utilizing websites out there like AirDNA and establishing, making sure it's a good location. If you have a good location, like you don't have to worry about how saturated the market is. You go with the right location that has the best like market research behind the numbers.
Got it. And what do you feel like is a newbie mistake that some Airbnb business owners make whenever starting their first Airbnb?
I would say that not training like a team in the beginning, like thinking like, okay, I'll get one like right near where I live and I'm just going to go into it and I get the lease, everything's great, I furnish it, and I just put it up with no systemized team in place, systems for the guests, and it's a shit show. Honestly, if you try to do it like that, because like you're gonna be a slave to the business. And what I think with the business, it really comes down to like having a really good team and learning how to train your team so that way the business runs without you. Like if you're gonna decide to be an Airbnb host, you should just be an Airbnb host. So, you're not the cleaner, you're not the handyman, you're not all these different people. You should really focus on being the host. So I think that a lot of people, even myself, when I first got started, I made the mistake of not training a really good team. And now we have like 5 different teams. We have so many people that work under us, but we can go wherever we want in the world at any point in time because we have like a really great team in place. So even if you're spending a little bit extra money on the team aspect, it'll make you more money in the long term and you'll live a better quality life as an Airbnb host.
That's such a good point. And I feel like, whenever you're first getting started, you may think that a team is something to grow into, but especially when it comes to Airbnb hosting and I'm sure complaints that Airbnb guests make, and even the review system, I can only imagine how crucially important it is to really get a 5-star review that very first stay and not have anything go wrong between the first and the second stay even. What do you find is a response from Airbnb guests that, I guess what do you find is something that the host doesn't think about when it comes to the guest experience?
Rent a place, you want to have all the instructions, everything about it, like all right there, right? You don't want to be like fishing around the app or trying to figure out like what's the Wi-Fi, what are the house rules. all these like the address, even though it's on the Airbnb app, just having a list of things right when they book, so they feel like, wow, this host is like welcoming me into the place. They're making sure I have all the information. Like we have a message that goes out when somebody books and also the day of check-in. So they feel like we cover all the bases. Like, we're here for you. Here's all the instructions. Here's about the neighborhood. Welcome to our place. And they already feel welcomed off the bat. Like we write like a really nice message for both. And then we have like scheduled messages that go out to make sure that they're having a good experience during the stay. Like if you're not doing that, a guest can like check in and check out. You don't ever talk to them. And then you're like, you can't breathe when it comes to like the review coming in because you have no idea like how their stay was. So we're really good at making sure that their experience is going well. And if it's not, it's all about speed to make sure that they are like, if you have to fix something or you have to find something, whatever it is. But just having like those scheduled messages, all the information there right for them in one place so they don't have to fish around the app is like a game changer, I feel, as a host. And I think we've had so much more better experience versus like somebody just books and they have to like find everything in the app and just waiting for you to like answer all their questions. It's just all right there.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. And I know because I book Airbnbs all the time. So I've had those experiences where the host is super communicative, very quick with their responses, taking care of the issues. And it really does. You just feel so supported and taken care of. And I think that's a big thing that for a while, I feel like whenever Airbnb was first starting, I felt like it missed, right? When people were just putting their random, bedrooms online, it was really missing that customer service, that customer support that you would get at a hotel. So I love to see just the evolution of the Airbnb, business and market in general. When it comes to people that are thinking about renting out, let's say one of their homes or something like that, I know that a big fear is, what if people throw a rager party, right? And we see those Airbnb horrible experiences where guests come in and they trash the place. So if someone has a huge fear of that, what's your advice on that? Is this something that they're going to have to chance with their home? Is there something that Airbnb does to give them a little bit of peace of mind?
Yeah, great question. So we're in like the luxury market in Los Angeles. And if you know about the Hollywood Hills area, Malibu, like these are places where people are very prone to party, right? So it's like, why would we sign ourselves up for that? And I think you have to take the steps prior to setting up your Airbnb to prevent things like this. So we have cameras at all angles. We can see everybody going in no matter what. And obviously this is just exterior, so not like the interior, but exterior wise, we can see who's going in and out. And then we have these noise level meters and they're by minute. And you can plug them in like if you have different levels of the house. And if the noise level gets to a certain amount, you can even have it set up where air is connected to the Airbnb app and it sends them a message right away. And then if somebody doesn't bring that noise level down right away, like within the first 5-10 minutes, we make sure we have a team member there that's going to show up to the property. So we have like the noise level meters, and then we also ID every guest. So when it comes to these larger homes, when people know that they're being ID'd, every person in the home has to be ID'd. We do say no visitors, no parties on our listing. So we're taking all these steps to prevent it. They know they're being ID'd. They know there's cameras. They know there's noise level meters. There's a violation if you break the noise level meter after the second time, $250 every single time. They know going into it, like, I'm not really going to get away with this. Like, I'm just not, because this host like has been there, done that. And they know exactly like if I'm going to even try it, they know that like what's going to happen. So for us, like we know immediately, like if something is even inkling that that's going to happen. So we put the steps in place prior to listing the home.
The Airbnb, what's the exact name of it? Is it Academy?
Yeah, the B&B Boss Academy.
Yeah, tell me about the B&B Boss Academy. How did that come together? What is that like, and what do you do in that container?
We started it last year, and obviously coming from like a fitness background, course background, I am very like service-based, and I still felt like, I wanted to work with people and provide like a service to them and help them in their life, like still change people's lives in some way. So I think it's just more in me to like always have like some course coaching, like that's just who my personality is, but I get to now transfer it to what I do today. But, starting the academy, we really wanted to just help others, be in the same position, if not even better than us, do exactly what we do. Like, I'm 8 months pregnant right now, and I'm able to,
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah. And I'm able to, we're 7-figure earners and be able to have a full-time income from my home and be able to raise our family, without ever having to go visit these properties. Like, we have been doing this for such a long time that like, I was like, there's so many, like there's like gray areas in the space. Like we know like what works and what doesn't. And I want to be able to help people go into the space successfully as already successful hosts and be able to like give back and help other people create a full-time income remotely too. And honestly, the majority of the clients we've been working with are moms. Like they just had babies, and it's crazy. Like, and they're operating their Airbnb businesses from home and they're in other states. And it's just been like a really cool journey to be able to do this and work with people again and just working with them on a different level versus like their body. Now I'm working, within Airbnb. So we have like different options as far as like our course, where you can just take our course and you don't have to work with us one-to-one, or you can work with us one-to-one and we take you through the whole process with our guidance. Or we have this other high-level program where basically it's called Done For You Airbnb. And we do all the work of getting the property, setting up the property, training and hiring your team, and just handing it to you, right? Something that works. So we have clients in every section, and we have 100% success rate. So everybody is crushing.
That is so awesome to hear. That sounds so incredible. And what an amazing thing. Did you say 100% success rate?
Yeah, 100%. Every single person has like these thriving Airbnbs.
That is so incredible to hear. And I'm going to have to do some research after our call because that sounds incredibly appealing to me. I don't know if you know, but I'm in San Diego now. So I was in LA for a long time. I went to Texas. Now I'm in San Diego. And I've kind of toyed with the idea for a little bit, just kind of thinking about, what would that look like? So yeah, I'm selfishly learning and intaking all the information that I can right now. So thank you for that.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah, and I love too that you guys have different opportunities for people to be involved at any level. So if anyone is listening right now and you're at all interested, then make sure to go to the link in the show notes and check it out. And if there's any level at all that you're interested in, what would be the best link or Instagram for them to contact you on? Would it be your personal or the Airbnb coaches page?
Yeah, the B&B Boss page is the best. It's just at B&B Bosses.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So I want to segue a little bit into some mindset work. So I know that while you teach a lot of the logistics and the practicalities of owning your own business, specifically in B&B, you also share a lot on the mindset of being an entrepreneur, the mindset of success. So let's dive into that a little bit. What is something that has really benefited your mindset to be a successful entrepreneur?
I would say that I spent a lot of years in like 2018, 2019, just diving like full force, like everything I had in me, to like a bunch of like people out there like Abraham Hicks, Stafford Dispenza. I'm trying to think of like who else. Whatever. I'll think of the names. There you go. But I just like deep dive, right? And that really changed my perspective on life completely. And I've carried that with me for so many years. And that really helped me to show up better in life as a human being, aside from just business, like just showing up better, like just looking at life differently. And obviously that's just how you do anything is how you do everything. So it's going to eventually like affect you in business as well. So for me, like I consider myself a little bit delusional.
In which kind of way?
Yeah. Where I just believe like everything is always working out for me. Like everything is okay. And I just have this like deep knowingness that like, if your intentions are good, your head's in the right place, you're here to service others in some way, it just comes back to you. It's just the laws of the universe that I truly believe in. So I keep like just a really good, like strong mindset that knowing that, everything is always working out. Like, and obviously, you can sit there and think all these things, but there's an action step to it, right? And every time we take risks and different action steps, you have to trust in the process. And I think a lot of the times with growing in the entrepreneur space, it requires you to take really big steps that are scary. And it puts you in an unknown position where you feel uncomfortable. But if you really develop your mindset, knowing that it's going to be okay, it's going to work out. And even if you face challenges, they're an opportunity to learn. Just having that knowingness will help you like move a lot farther. So that's kind of like where I'm at with it. And yeah, and people may sound crazy to some, but I just always trust. Like,
So yeah, I am right there with you, and I got chills a few times while you were talking. I'm totally on the same wavelength, and it's really cool to hear just your personal growth, even since like the last time we had a conversation, and how much you really developed your mindset. And the way that I describe those perspectives is I have these foundational truths. And one of my foundational truths is in alignment with yours, that everything is happening for me and that everything is working for my good. So what that does is it allows life to happen as life is going to happen anyways. And then when something happens that especially is undesirable, I'm able to look at it and take a very empowered kind of mindset, right? Because if I didn't have the truth that this is for me and everything works out for my good, then maybe I would have the truth that these things are happening to me, or this always happens to me, or I would just get in a very disempowered state. And it's really hard to take positive action when you're in a disempowered energy. So for me, these foundational truths, these perspectives that we speak of are crucial. And I have this like ongoing list, and I continue just to add more, so that whether it's what do I believe is true about what's possible for me in life? What do I believe is true for my life, my relationships, my friendships, my business, my career? It just shapes the way that you show up to life. And that's something that you had mentioned, is what these things did is they weren't some external strategy or tool that changed things externally. It actually changed things internally. And you were the one that took action by showing up differently to your life. And it's just a common thread that I'm hearing from successful people all around right now, is that it really is an inner job. So the inner work that you've done, that you poured yourself into, really is being shown in such beautiful ways right now, in your energy, the way that you carry yourself, in your success, in this blooming business and family, and this new baby that's coming. It's really beautiful to see it happen so wonderfully for somebody.
Thank you. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm in such an like agreement with you. And yeah, I mean, it has to, like, I feel for anybody, like, even just in the entrepreneur space, like you have to work inward, outward, and that has to come first always before anything else.
What was the transformation like for you? So could you give us an example of the Samantha from, let's say, like 2017-ish, or maybe the version before she did this deep work, to the version of you now? What did that look like, and what did that transition look like? Meaning, were you someone that had negative self-talk? Were you someone that had a negative perspective? And if so, like, what did that transition look like? And were there practices that helped you to overcome those things, whatever they might have been?
Yeah, no, great question. So yeah, before that, I was somebody who was just like completely stressed out all the time. Like the littlest thing would go wrong and it would just ruin my entire day. And I couldn't handle like problems, right? So like problems would just I would attract more problems. And I would just like feel like living a life of like this constant stress. And I was like just like a rabbit race. Like I just was not getting anywhere. And you can only do that for so long, where you just feel like no matter what I'm doing, I just constantly was just feeling defeated. And I wasn't happy with like every part of my life, my businesses, my relationships. For somebody who comes from like a background so close to their family, I remember like right before I did all this work, like I was kind of distant from my family, which is so not like me at all. I just wasn't happy with the person I was showing up as. And I just, like, you just reach I feel like when anybody in this space, like, if, learning about the mindset, you reach a point where you're like, enough is enough. And I'm like, I'm sick of it. And I'm sick of my crap that I keep, like, I just would blame anybody and anything for my issues in my life. And I'm just sick of blaming other people. And I think you also reach a point where other people are sick of listening to you too. And you have nobody else to really turn to at that point. And you're like, okay, well, then maybe this is me. Maybe it's me.
Yeah. Am I the drama?
Yeah, really. Like, that's really how it happened. And I just remember being in California at the time when I chose to, like, go on this new journey, where I was sitting in my car in Venice, California. And I had nobody to call. Like, I had nobody. Like, nobody wanted to hear me complain anymore. And I was just complaining every single day. And I just remember just breaking down and be like, I can't operate like this anymore. And I happened to stumble across an Abraham Hicks video on YouTube, and just like it was super random, and I can't explain it how it came on, but just listening to one video, like just one, it just like made my problem seem really insignificant. And I was putting such an emphasis on the problems instead of putting an emphasis on the solutions and what life could be like. I felt like everything I was focusing on, I was definitely just focusing on the wrong thing. So I was just somebody who was just always stressed out, just focusing on the problem, right? And just not getting to where I wanted to be in any aspect of my life. And then I hit like a breaking point where I was like, that's it, I'm done.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. And I too found Abraham Hicks, and I would listen to her rampages. I don't know if you've listened to those.
Yeah.
And when I started listening to those on a daily basis, it really started to rewire my thinking, which is something I think initially learned from Dr. Joe Dispenza years and years ago, talking about how you can literally rewire your brain. There's also another book called, I think it's called something around the lines of Change the Way You Think. It's this doctor, she's a neuroscientist, and she actually used science and even things from religion to like all prove the same thing, that we were literally born to be creators, and that we have the power within to heal, to change, to grow, to evolve. And it's one of the most empowering books. So I'm really big on the motivational style stuff, like Abraham Hicks, I think was just really amazing to like rewire the brain. And then also the education, the science heavy type of stuff that really empowers you, that it's not just motivational gurus talking, it's also based in science. And for me, that was a really big breakthrough for myself, because when I was able, I'm very like logical, type A, that's my natural instinct. So to have that proof is what it felt like. To have that proof was even more encouraging, that, okay, when I sit here and I'm choosing to speak a positive affirmation over my life, it's not just me wishful thinking. There's actually science to this, and our energy, our words carry energy, and energy carries a frequency. And really understanding that helped me to really switch my own self-talk and my own negative thoughts into ones that were empowering and that were a part of creating the future that I wanted to live.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like through this process, I definitely, like the self-talk thing, like your old self definitely wants to come through in the beginning so many times, and then like you have to continuously like stop your thoughts, be like, okay, hold on, and then you like change the thought around. Like you saying like about your self-talk made me think about that, and I have to do that so often in a day, just like keep stopping myself, because you're so used to habitually thinking how you do it, thinking how you think, doing things how you do. And then just recognizing, that's just my old self talking to me, and like you have to change it right then and there, and have a lot more like self-awareness.
Yeah. What do you think are some things that have helped to build your self-awareness?
Things that help to build my self-awareness. I would say just like definitely like listening and learning from so many different people. Just like, noticing that if I say things like this, it produces like a feeling and action of this. But if I just kept testing, like if I am acting in this way, life is more like looking this way. But if I start for a second to like go back to my old ways, life continues to go this way. It's just a mirror of like everything you're thinking and feeling. So I just became like very hyper aware of like okay, I need to keep my thoughts in the right spot. I need to keep my actions, in alignment with my thoughts, like feeling good. And it's hard though in the beginning. I do need to say, like, for sure, like in the beginning, you're constantly fighting your brain. Your brain's like, no, like life has always been this way. And you're like, no, like it actually could be this way. So it takes time to ease into, and life needs to, like, we like to, like, immediate gratification, right? Like, I do something right now and you see the result right then and there. So with this, with self-awareness, like, you have to be patient that, maybe you aren't going to like change your entire life tomorrow, but the everyday awareness of like just recognizing when you're having a negative thought, turning it into a positive, of consistently doing that, your life was consistently changing. And so when I saw my life consistently changing for the better, I just like stayed on top of that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love everything that you just shared. One of the biggest things that I think to really pull out of that is that you became an observer of your life. And I think it's a really powerful tool to be able to take the position of the observer so that you can grow in that self-awareness and really see clearly what's happening in your life. And thank you for mentioning that it's a slow process and that it's hard, because even with a client recently, she was sharing with me, wow, I feel like, this is kind of one of the first times she's really looking in the mirror and seeing all of her stuff. And she said, I feel like the floodgates have been opened. And so I also have this foundational truth, which I ended up sharing with her, that everything that surfaces is for me. So what I found is that when people are doing this inner deep work and personal development, is sometimes all the things that they shoved down so far, that they didn't want to look at, that they didn't want to feel, when you start opening the door, sometimes it just feels like she said, the floodgates come through and it can feel very overwhelming. You can even have thoughts of, why am I choosing to do this and to open this door? But one thing you have to realize is that if you are not handling the things that are there and you continue to shove it down, it will come out one way or another. So by realizing that, okay, everything that surfaces is a gift and it's for me, even though it doesn't feel that way, even though it feels like the trauma and the heartache and the things you didn't want to feel, you have to understand it's only surfacing because once you apply love to what hurts, you'll alchemize that pain into love. So fear becomes love. Pain, heartbreak, and loss become lessons learned in a stronger heart. So I think it's important just to paint that path, because and it's also never ending, right? The more life that we live, I know for myself, and won't speak for you, but for myself, the more I learn, the more I navigate, I realize there's way more that I don't know than what I do know. It's like we can share some helpful things that we've navigated through, but man, the world is really incredible. This universe that we live in, I am constantly fascinated by it. And one thing that I really believe is that we are all creators of our experience. And so I really wanted to chat to you today because I see you creating the experience that you want to live, and it's magical looking.
Thank you. I really do appreciate that. And yeah, we're definitely on the same wavelength for sure.
Yeah. So, okay, you are about to be a new mom. If I remember, I think your due date is in May or so, and it's March right now. So very shortly, you're going to be a new mother. Is there anything that you want to share about this journey of pregnancy that you've experienced so far, to maybe the other moms that are out there?
Yes. I mean, honestly, pregnancy has been really, really good to me. I have had like a really amazing experience. We've traveled like so much in my pregnancy, which I thought like really wasn't going to be possible. But I just put the brakes on the travel last week. But I mean, we've been everywhere and we've still been like crushing it. And, it doesn't have to like put a pause on your life, but it's been really, really good. And we've been excited and we've been making obviously different moves in our life that we're looking forward to, that, different investments, things like that, as far as taking this new journey. But it's been really, really great. Like, I'm honestly super blessed. And I think at the end of the day, just like so grateful. I always think like every single morning, like I get to wake up and do this. And I have a son coming and I can raise him and still be like operating my business. So like that is, it's like such a good feeling. Like I don't have to go anywhere and I could just give him all like the time and attention and still be able to operate what we do. But it's been really good. Like I really can. I didn't even get like any like crazy like craving or I never get nothing happened with me. Yeah. Like I was waiting for it. I was like, maybe I'm gonna crave like some crazy stuff. And yeah, like nothing. Like I've honestly had like a really good pregnancy.
Oh, I'm so happy for you. And it's so funny how different it is for every woman. I imagine one of my sisters right now who's like, she had quite the opposite experience. It was honestly very, very difficult for her. So it's so interesting just how each woman feels, differently when she's pregnant. But one thing you mentioned there is the fact that when your son comes, you're going to be able to spend time with him. And I think it's important to talk about that because that to me is true freedom. And when we look at goals that we're making for ourselves, let's say even a financial goal, like when we look at your Instagram, we see that you've brought in X million of dollars through this company. It's like, okay, that's a number, but understanding what's happening at a deeper level with that number, like what does that number actually produce in your life? And yeah, could you just go a little bit more into the energetics of money and what being financially abundant can actually do for your life and what it opens up for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely like the time freedom and the ability to just wake up and, be able to do the things that you want to do. And, we do it to live a life that's full of experiences and be able to create memories and live a life according to us, right? So the money is just the tool to be able to do that. And that's what we're after, like just a life that's like so much fun. We do like vision boards. We get excited about like different experiences we're going to have now as a family and things we want to do for our son. So that's what drives us every day to expand and wake up and do what we do. The money is like the least insignificant part. It's just a tool that gets you to live this life that you really want to experience. So that's what really drives us to do it every day. Like we've taken like 50 flights in 2023. I think we've been a million different places. And that's why we were just working so hard every day. We're like flying first class now, staying at these gorgeous hotels, like just doing things that we didn't even know was possible. But the money again, it's just the tool to create those experiences. And I think if your goal is only to get the money, then it becomes like this uphill battle. You have to know what you want to do with the money, like how that money is going to change your life, And I think that is a huge block for some people. When you can get through that block of like creating the vision of your life, then the money comes in a lot easier. If you're not so focused on the money, you're just focusing on the life you're creating from the money generated.
I love that so much. Have you ever had money mindset issues in the past? And if so, what did those look like and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so I think a lot of it came from my programming as a child growing up. And like, I love my parents so deeply. And like, I know they did everything they could to provide me with like an amazing life. My parents worked full time and they were trading like time for money, right? And they always like said, you gotta work really hard. So I was very programmed to like save your money, work really hard, a lot of stress around money. Like even when bills came in, they talked about it. Like it was just like always like money equals stress, right? In some way. And I was programmed to do that. And until I like got into the mindset videos and things like that in 2017, 2018, then that's when things changed for me. But before then, I always thought I had to work extremely hard to get it. And even when I do get it, I'm not going to be able to really keep much of it. Like I have to like save only a little bit. Like it was just like none of it seemed easy to get. Like, so I had that way of thinking just from growing up, and my grandparents also too. Like I see how they live. Like they worked really hard. So they learned it from, my parents learned it from their parents. So, I feel like, and for me, I kind of broke that cycle in 2017. Like I keep referencing 2018, and which I'm really excited to like even teach our son and maybe future kids, but just how to think differently and not have that programming around money already set. So that was like a really big transition for me to just, it's there's an abundant amount of money to go around. I don't ever feel a lack of it. And I did not like see it that way before that.
Wow. And when you were in that period where you had a different view on money and you were learning these things, hearing these mindset videos and, these talks that were very inspiring, were there some affirmations or were there things that you said to yourself to kind of just reprogram the way that you thought? And if so, how did you believe it? Like, I'm imagining a person that is very much in the lack energy mentality. Maybe they literally are worried about paying rent the next month and they're really feeling that lack on such a practical level. How can it feel true for them?
Yeah, for sure. So I always like told myself like I am an abundant being, like, I'm attracted to like abundance and things. I always like use like the word abundance in some way. And then I always like just saw like the way I see it is like in my head, like there's just so much money going around and circulating that there's never a lack of it. So I had to keep telling myself that. Right. But to make it like feel real for you, I would say to like things that this is what I did personally. So things that I wanted, I actually just went and like how to start feeling good about releasing the money, right? Because I think everybody wants to get money, but they don't feel comfortable with releasing it. So I started like, just little things. Like I wanted to get myself that would make me feel better. And I, like for example, I went and got like an apartment that was maybe a little bit over my budget, right? And I was just like, it was uncomfortable. And I was like, maybe I won't be able to afford it. But by spending a little bit extra money that I released, I actually started like making more money because I was happier in my environment. So I like where I always say like your environment is everything. And I think it comes down to like choosing a place where you feel like so good and so secure. It feels like home. And then like I felt a lot of things really opened up for me there, like putting myself in an environment that just already made my headspace happier. Like I opened my door to like the ocean versus opening my door and seeing another person's window. Like, yeah, like I'm gonna vibrate a little bit differently. So yeah, I know. And again, like it seems like a lot more simple than it actually is, and I understand like it could be really scary. But I think to have like a good feeling of releasing the money and knowing like it's always going in and out. So you have to be okay to release it, like making investments into yourself, buying yourself that outfit because you're going to feel so good in it. And when you feel really good, you're obviously going to attract better things. So that's just how I see it.
I love that you mentioned that. And I think it's really important to even look at it like the seasons that we have, right? There's winter and spring and summer and fall, and things come and they go. There's a time and a season to reap and to sow. And I think really reminding ourselves that it's okay for things to be in flow like that, that it makes it easier to navigate when we feel like we're in maybe a bit of a lull or maybe a bit of a dip, to know there's only one other way that it's going to go, and it's back up, right? So really shaping our beliefs to help us take action that is going to be in alignment with that, I found is just incredibly helpful to get through those times, because I definitely relate a lot to that. I did a lot of mindset work around money. There's one book actually, which I recommended it before, but I'll recommend it again. It's by Jen Sincero, and it's called You Were a Badass at Making Money. And it was one of the first money books that I read, and I just absolutely loved it. She has another book that's just called You Were a Badass. And it's a personal development, empowerment type of book. And both of those were really incredible to help reshape my mind. And it's wild how when we look at every aspect of life, whether it comes to money, it comes to love and relationship and the dating pool, career, it really comes down to our mindset. And what we think, we end up creating and attracting in our lives. And if we can change the way that we think, we can change the way that we create and manifest inside of our lives. And I fully agree with you on the environment thing as well. I mentioned to you that I went to Texas for a little bit, and after being in LA for 7 years. And here I am in Texas in this big house. I have a podcast studio, I have a gym, a sauna, a cold plunge, multiple guest rooms. I host people there, to fly in and do content and podcasts. And it was so much fun. But when everyone would leave, I'd be in this big house alone in Texas with no mountains, no ocean, no beautiful places to hike, like all the things that bring me joy in my free time. I had to take a flight, get a dog sitter, get a hotel, get a rental car just to do those things. And I found myself in this place where I was so grateful to have what I have because it was incredible, and it didn't light my soul on fire. And so I actually had to do what you said. And I got a place in San Diego, and coming here was just like my soul could breathe again. I remember when I went to the ocean after not being here for so long, I just like broke down at the ocean. I was like, this is where I belong. I have to be here. And man, my happiness has just been on the up since being in the environment that is conducive to my soul. And here's the thing, we all have a different soul. We have a different map, a curriculum of why we came here to Earth, right? And I think it's important to simply just identify what are the things that light your soul on fire, and to get in alignment with those and be brave enough to follow that, whether it's being a musician, being a business owner, being a parent, whatever it is for you, find it and go for it fully. And I'm just so inspired listening to your story, because what I hear is that things weren't really working for you. And you decided, you know what, I'm going to try something completely new. And now you're just beaming with happiness, doing what you love, getting, an incredible life for yourself and making an income that makes you feel free. And it's just very inspiring to see somebody create such beauty out of their life. So thank you for being on today's show. If someone is interested in speaking to you, working with you, what's the best thing that they can do?
Yeah, thank you for having me at first, Emily. I really do appreciate it. And the best place to reach us is, the Instagram, like B&B Bosses, or our website is just the BNBBossAcademy.com. And yeah, we can help you along your Airbnb journey if it's something that you're interested in.
Thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of Evolve with Emily. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please do me a favor and tag it on your Instagram stories. Tag both Samantha and I. Let us know what you thought about the show. And if you're enjoying these episodes recently, then do me a favor and rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts. That's the way that the show grows, and I would greatly appreciate any support. If you're on YouTube, make sure to give the video a thumbs up, leave a comment if you want to say what's up, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, everyone.